Hi, this is nervous system, anatomy and physiology part 3, and this is the last part. And in this part, we will discuss mainly regarding peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system. So, in the previous part, I told you that peripheral nervous system, this system, it will bring like I told you that central nervous system is there, so peripheral nervous system will bring information to the central nervous system, and also it will take information from the central nervous system to different parts of the body. Okay. So it is taking information to brain, and from brain it will take information to parts of the body, that is peripheral nervous system. How they are working, how they take information, give and take information, how they take information, or how they or send information or receive information. Okay, this is by using different type of nerve. It includes 31 pairs of spinal nerve and 12 pairs of cranial nerve. Okay, so spinal nerve and cranial nerves are there. What they do, they will take some of these nerve will take information to central nervous system, that is to a brain, and some of these nerves will take information from the brain to body. Okay, so this is called a motor and sensory part. Motor and sensory part. So altogether, these nerves will do the function. 31 pairs of spinal nerve, 31 pairs of spinal nerve, and 12 pairs of cranial nerve. Okay, 31 pairs of spinal nerve. There are 8 pairs of cervical nerve. There are 8 pairs of cervical nerves. Then 12 pairs of thoracic nerves. Then 5 pairs of lumbar nerves. Then 5 pairs of sacral nerve and 1 pair of coccygeal nerve. So they may ask you in the exam, they may ask you the pairs. So for EC, CH, T12, L5, S5, C1. Okay, you have to by heart all those things. These are spinal nerve. Then there is 31 pairs. Okay, 31 pairs, very important. Cervical 8, thoracic 12, lumbar 5, sacral 5, and coccygeal 1 pair. And I told you that there is cranial nerves also. Cranial nerves. Cranial nerve is 12 pairs, and you have to study the number. What is the first cranial nerve, second cranial nerve, or third cranial nerve? At the same time, you have to study their name also. What is the name of the first cranial nerve? It's olfactory. Second cranial nerve, it's optic. Third cranial nerve, it is oculomotor, trochlear, trigeminal, abducens, auditory, vagus, accessory, then hypoglossal, all those things. And sometimes you have to study their functions. It's very difficult to study all the functions, but at least you have to study some of the functions. Like olfactory is for the smell, optic for the vision, then abducens for the abduction of the eye, then auditory or vestibular cochlear is for the balance. So whatever, it depends upon your memory power. If you can study all the functions, it's better. Otherwise, study the important functions which I mentioned here. Okay, important things, you have to study the functions, the important nerves. You have to study olfactory, optic, oculomotor, then abducens, facial, also trochlear. Okay, these functions, these nerves functions, at least you study. Okay. Also vagus nerve. Vagus nerve is very important. Sometimes they will not ask you the function, but in the exam they may ask what is the 10th nerve and 7th nerve, etc. Okay. So as I told you that these nerves, as I told you that there is a two types, spinal nerve and cranial nerve. Okay, these will help for bringing information to brain and to send information from brain. So those nerves which will take information or bringing information to brain, that is called sensory. Okay, sensory means which those nerves which brings information to the brain is called sensory, and those nerves which will take information from the brain to different parts of the body is called a motor. Okay, so this is towards brain, and this is away from the brain. Okay, taking information away from the brain. Okay, so these nerves, sometimes they will ask you, okay, what is this olfactory is a sensory nerve or motor nerve or like that. Okay, so some nerves they are only sensory. Okay, sensory. Some nerve they are only motor, but there are some nerve they are both sensory and motor. Okay, that is why called both. Both means it's a mixed type. Sometimes question may ask you whether the fifth cranial nerve is what type of nerve, sensory, motor, or both, etc. Okay, so you have to study sensory or motor or both. Okay, there are a lot of easy techniques to study all those things. You can uh, check these things, so you can easily study. Also, you can make mnemonics for these things, so you can study easily. So our nerves, sensory nerve is there, motor nerve is there, and both. Some nerve will have function of both sensory and motor nerve. Okay. Then peripheral nervous system, we will divide this peripheral nervous system. It's having different divisions. So first division, in the last class we discussed regarding central nervous system. So here in the peripheral nervous system, if you see, there is sensory and motor system. I already discussed sensory system and motor system. What is sensory? Sensory will take information, bring information from different parts of the body, and it will send to the brain. What is a motor? Motor will take information from the brain and to send to different parts of the body. Sometimes if you want to you move your hand. Okay, this may be a information or an order from your brain to move order from your brain, move your right hand or left hand. So these information, it will be taken by motor system. Okay, motor system. Okay, so peripheral nervous system, first division is sensory and motor. Next, again the motor system again divided into somatic and autonomic. I told you before that this motor system, the function of motor system I already explained. But these functions, these response, it include different types. Somatic means voluntary movements. Okay, so one system is for voluntary movements, and autonomic means involuntary movements. So in the motor system itself, voluntary movements, what if you want to move your right hand or left hand, it's under your control. It is voluntary movements or voluntary actions. So for that, somatic system is there, and there are some movements like increase heart rate or secretion of some hormone. Okay, all those things are not under your control. This is involuntary movements. Involuntary. This is called autonomic nervous system. So peripheral nervous system divided into sensory and motor, and this motor system again divided into somatic and autonomic. In somatic system will control your voluntary movements, and autonomic system will control your involuntary movements. What is an example for involuntary movement? Increase heart rate, decrease heart rate, all those things. Okay, again this autonomic nervous system will divide into sympathetic nervous system, okay, and parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, parasympathetic and sympathetic. Okay, so autonomic nervous system again divided into sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Like I told you that autonomic nervous system, it is controlling your involuntary movements. Okay, so these having opposite action. Sympathetic and parasympathetic, they are having opposite actions. If it is increase, it will decrease. Okay, so mainly if you see what is happening means, in your brain there is a limbic system. Okay, in your brain there is limbic system. Okay, limbic system is that. Limbic system is situated near to your hypothalamus. Okay, near to your hypothalamus. So when the brain will get information from the sensory part, and it will reach to limbic system. Limbic system mainly involved in fear, emotions, etc. Okay, so this limbic system and sensory part will give some information to the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus will control your autonomic nervous system. Hypothalamus will control your autonomic nervous system. So hypothalamus is the primary control of the autonomic system. How hypothalamus is controlling? When hypothalamus get information from the limbic system and from your sensory part, it will decide. It will start some response. Okay, limbic system is mainly related to fear and emotion. Okay, so I told you that autonomic nervous system is having two parts. One is sympathetic and parasympathetic. Okay, parasympathetic. Sympathetic is for fight and flight. Sympathetic is for fight and flight. Okay, then parasympathetic is for rest and digest. Rest and digest. Okay, so this sympathetic is for emergency. Sympathetic is for emergency and parasympathetic is for relaxation. Okay, so if any emergency is coming, if one dog is coming to bite you, or an elephant is coming behind you, or any enemy or a thief is coming, then what system will activate in your body? Your emergency system, that is a sympathetic system, will activate, and your body will be ready for maybe for a fight or sometime for flight. Flight means you will run away from that. So that time what will happen? In that situation, your heart rate will increase. Then your pupils will dilate. Why pupil dilating? Because you need more light, because you have to be ready for a fight or for any emergency. So your heart rate will increase, so your whole body will be ready for any emergency. In parasympathetic system is for relaxation. It is for rest and digest. So when you eat some food, or when you are in a relaxed mood, that time parasympathetic system will activate. So what will parasympathetic system, what they will do? It will decrease your heart rate. Your heart rate will be decreased, but your blood flow to the stomach or digestion will increase, means blood flow to the stomach will increase, etc. Okay, and your respiratory rate will decrease, but in a sympathetic system your respiratory system will increase. So easily to get the actions of sympathetic and parasympathetic, just remember that in sympathetic, fight and flight. So all those actions which will help for an emergency is called sympathetic nervous system actions. All those actions which will help for rest and digest or relaxation mood, it will help for the parasympathetic, or it is related to parasympathetic action. Okay, and this autonomic nervous system, how they send, how they do all these works. As you know that they use a neurotransmitter. So autonomic nervous system, they use some neurotransmitter to send impulse informations, etc. Okay, so this system, autonomic nervous system, is again using two type of system. One is cholinergic and adrenergic. Okay, so in cholinergic system, if they are using cholinergic system, they will use acetylcholine as the neurotransmitter, and if they are using noradrenaline as a chemical transmitter, and it is called adrenergic system. Okay, so cholinergic and adrenergic. Okay, Okay, in adrenergic they use noradrenaline, and in cholinergic they use acetylcholine. See, acetylcholine. The last word is choline. Choline means cholinergic. Okay, so autonomic nervous system use cholinergic or adrenergic system. How these names coming? If they are using acetylcholine for their work, it is called cholinergic type of activity. And if they are using noradrenaline as their neurotransmitter, it is called adrenergic type of activity. Okay. So peripheral nervous system, I will explain again. Peripheral nervous system is having two parts. One is sensory and a motor. Sensory part will take all the information to the brain, and in brain the central nervous system will process all the information. After that they will give some order to your body. How? Through your motor system it will give it to your body. This motor system main responsibility is to do some action. So there are two different type of action. One is voluntary movements or voluntary action, another one is involuntary action. Voluntary actions are done by somatic system, and involuntary actions they are done by autonomic nervous system. And if you see the autonomic nervous system itself, autonomic nervous system is of two type. One is sympathetic and parasympathetic, which means that in the involuntary movements, some movements are for emergency movements or fight or flight. So for that they will use sympathetic nervous system. In that situation sympathetic nervous system will activate. Parasympathetic nervous system is opposite to sympathetic nervous system, because in parasympathetic nervous system it helps for rest and digest. It's a relaxation mode. So in that system your body will be in a relaxation mode, your heart rate, everything will decrease. Okay. Then the last point is autonomic nervous system. Also it use obviously it will use a neurotransmitter for sending signals or receiving signals. Okay. So if they are using acetylcholine, in some situation they will use acetylcholine, in some situation they will use noradrenaline. If they are using acetylcholine, we will say as adrenergic system. Acetylcholine, it's cholinergic system. And if they are using noradrenaline, we will say adrenergic system. Okay, so these are the two type of adrenergic and cholinergic type of neurotransmitter. Okay, so these are the important things regarding peripheral nervous system. So far we have discussed the entire nervous system, the important points. There are a lot of other things are also there. So for exam purpose, these important topics or important points will be helpful for you. And read more and more regarding this nervous system. Make a base first, then you read. Then you can read our study material also. In the study material we have explained more things, so you use our study materials to have an idea about central nervous system. Thank you.